Hi, it's Alexis. In this video, we're going to discuss about the childhood origins of fearful avoidance. And in this video, obviously, we're going to spend a bit of time trying to understand different situations that could create this type of attachment. But more importantly, and this is why it's important, I will share with you at the end a very powerful strategy that I use with my clients if you want to finally be more secure and finally sort of escape from this type of insecure attachment. Jingle.
igetmyexback.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.
So first of all, a high-level overview of the roots where this attachment comes from. Two things: unpredictability and complex relational trauma, and inconsistency of caregiver responses. So on one end, there's something about difficulties. On the other end, it's about sort of not being able to predict our parents. And so when you have those things, that creates a dilemma for the child. Is they want to seek comfort, but at the same time, the thing that they are trying to seek might provide distress to them. So as I said, I will describe 5 situations that I came up with. I would love for this video to be a forum if you're fearful avoidant and want to have a conversation or just share your experiences, because I know it's extremely powerful to feel also and hear from others who have had similar experiences. It's something that we do in our group coaching programs, but I think in the context of the video that would be extremely helpful as well. So let us know in the comment section, especially if you do the exercise at the end, what you've learned, the different things that you're working on, and so on. Trauma and neglect have a high importance in shaping the fearful avoidant attachment style. Emotional neglect, abuse, parental inconsistency, it's basically showing the kid that intimacy is painful. If you get too close to me, you're gonna get hurt. And the thing is, when they're adult, if you're a fearful avoidant, when you start having a relationship, when we shift from a primary attachment figure, which is the parents, to a primary attachment figure, your partner, you will behave the same and you will have the same apprehension regarding relationship. If I get too close to this person, I might get hurt. And so that's why we have these deep-seated fears that, again, the closer I get, the more dangerous it is. There's also the role of unmet needs and avoidance. People who have fearful avoidant attachment, they usually grew up in an environment where emotional needs weren't necessarily met or adequately met. And so that creates this idea that I need to rely on myself. Very young, I need to do things on my own. And what happens when they're adults, and especially in the context of a romantic relationship, they doubt that the person will be there to support them, to help them. So if they have a problem, they will keep it to themselves. There's another very important element is around self-esteem and the story we tell ourselves. And obviously, early interaction with our caregivers, with our parents, will shape our self-esteem. For fearful avoidance, it will be unfortunately around low self-esteem, because it's the idea of this inconsistency, the idea of potentially those abusive relationships where they will internalize, I'm not worthy of love. Because anytime I do something with my parents, I'm rejected, I'm pushed back, and so I don't deserve love. And if we look at this graph, low self-esteem, if we look at self-esteem and positive social ability, or you could call it trust, secure people, they trust people, they trust themselves, basically. On the top right, fearful avoidant are the other way around. They don't trust themselves and they don't trust others. Very often people, they mix up dismissive avoidant and fearful avoidant. The main difference between dismissive avoidant and fearful avoidant is dismissive avoidant, they tend to have a positive self-image, they have a positive self-esteem. Fearful avoidant, they are not worthy of love. Okay, for dismissive avoidant, it's more of like, I don't care about the other. I'm on my island, I'm self-sufficient, and I like to be self-sufficient, and I'm very confident about my abilities to meet people, but it's different for fearful avoidant because there's also this lack of confidence. And it's very hard, especially when you're an adult, after a breakup, to deal with being single when you're fearful avoidant, because again, you confirm or you sort of re-internalize this idea of I'm not worthy of love. So how do you break the cycle? 3 steps. First one is to recognize and understand the origin of this fearful avoidant attachment style. And this is why I am making this video. I'm making tons of videos about attachment for you to finally realize, okay, hold on, it's coming from here. Now, once you've understood this, it's about how can you deconstruct, how can you reshape those things. So therapy is the way to go. Trauma-informed attachment therapy, regardless of who would be your therapist. It could be me, it could be anyone. It doesn't have to be me. It could be anyone. It's very important for you to get someone who could help you, an expert who will help you to navigate this space. There are plenty of therapists out there. I would recommend you to speak with 1, 2, or 3, have discovery calls with them, assess whether there's a good fit, because sometimes the therapist can be very, I could be, for example, a very good therapist, but there's not necessarily a good fit. Find the person who would be the right ally in this, on this journey, and do the work. Third one, and it's also about taking action, is how can you rebuild secure and relationships. It's about how can I trust, because there's an element of trust, regaining trust in the other, regaining trust in yourself, and that will be done in the context of a relationship. It's very hard to become secure if you're on your own. So very often what I do with my clients is like, if you want to get back with your ex, that's an opportunity actually to be more secure. That's an opportunity for you to challenge yourself and behave in a different way. The good news is change is possible, otherwise I wouldn't have a job, otherwise all the therapists out there wouldn't have a job. The starting point is, if only I knew this, I knew that before. And that's probably the thing that I hear the most when I have clients. You know, they realize that, okay, this is coming from here. So you have the grid, you have the sort of the manual. It's about how you can take action to sort of reprogram years of programming based on those insecurities. Now, if you are dating someone fearful avoidant, they need to recognize that they can change and that they should change. It's very important. Because if you're dating someone fearful avoidant who doesn't want to do the work, who doesn't recognize that there's a problem with them, you are wasting your time. Okay? If you're fearful avoidant and you're watching this video, well done, you're in the right team. Now let's look at different situations. Look at it as the situation that would happen in a family setting. First one is inconsistent caregiver response. So child reaches out for comfort during a thunderstorm, for example. One day they find their parents reassuring, cuddling them. The next time they become dismissive and frustrated. Next time they are scared. And so that creates this sort of, okay, this experience shapes the definition of relationship. So, and we are all like that. So really depending on how we respond or how our parents respond to sort of what we say, what we do, and what we need from them. And so that teaches the child emotional support is unpredictable. One day they were caring, the other day they dismissed me. Okay, and if that happens constantly or a lot of the time, that's their new definition of love. Okay, it's my view, and it's very hard for you as an adult, if you don't recognize those things, to detach from them. And so again, deep sense of confusion about seeking comfort. And you see, in the context of a relationship, of a loving, of a romantic relationship, how can you be in a healthy relationship if you can't trust your partner? The second one is around neglect or absence. So for example, a child's emotional needs are regularly ignored. Anytime they attempt to express their feelings, they are met with indifference and overshadowed by, their parents' emotional issues. So people, for example, who have addiction problem or who have depression, they can't necessarily meet their children's needs because they have also to look after themselves. And it's not that they are selfish, but they can't do both at the same time. And so the impact for the child here is, I need to suppress my emotional needs. Okay, I have those needs, I need to express those needs. I'm sad, I'm angry, I need to express things, but as I'm rejected, I have to keep it to myself. And so that developed this sense of independence that looks as I'm very strong from the outside, but deep inside, there's a lot of fear of intimacy. Quick word on dismissive avoidant. Dismissive avoidant will have somehow the same sort of response from the outside, but they don't have this fear or insecurity around intimacy. It's more of they don't have the language, they don't necessarily feel the need, whereas like fearful avoidant, they kind of feel the need to connect and be closer. It's just that they are very scared. Intimacy is dangerous for fearful avoidant. For dismissive avoidant, intimacy is they don't necessarily see the value of it. It's just like they don't care, if I sort of simplify things out. Third situation is exposure to trauma and conflict. So for example, a child who would witness conflict between their parents or experience verbal or physical abuse. It's basically the home with tons of tension, fear, unpredictability. Obviously, the environment here will play an important role in shaping that attachment. And so again, danger, closeness is danger. And so again, I need to navigate the space because I don't know whether my parents will be upset, whether they shout. Also, the role of the parents as role models, if they keep on fighting, if they keep on hitting each other, shouting, etc. This is my definition of a relationship. And it's also the idea of intimacy will hurt me, right? For dismissive avoidance, it's not that intimacy will hurt them. It's just like, what's the point? In the context of fearful avoidance, intimacy will hurt me. I'm convinced about that. And this is the thing you need to work on if you have a fearful avoidant attachment style, is recognizing that 95% of people don't see it this way. 50% of people, the secure people, if we can, I'm not going to debate about whether people are secure or not, but like, let's say the people that are categorized secure, they don't fear intimacy and they have healthy relationships, right? And they're not better than you. Their perception of things is different. And this is what you can change. And this is what you should change. Example number 4 is rejection. So again, when a child expresses a need, instead of receiving support, they face rejection or criticism. Grow up, Come on, you're 6 years old now. You should know that. These kind of things. Again, it's the idea of if I express my need, I become a burden. If I want to be part of, or anytime I take a risk, for example, I'll be punished. So again, reluctance to express the needs, desires, and fear of being rejected. This constant fear of being rejected. Situation number 5 is very common, is forced autonomy. So children who are pushed to take adult responsibility, you're the man of the house now. You have to deal with it. Right? You take care of your siblings. You're the older one. It's very frequent for older siblings. And of course, when you force autonomy for a child who's not ready to act as a dad or as a mother, they learn that they must go through life without relying on others. Okay? And again, dependence leads to vulnerability. I need to do it myself. I can only rely on myself. If I depend on others, I'm not going to be good enough. Because here the trade with the parents is like, I will act as if that's my role, that's how you be proud of me, right? To be independent, not to sort of bother you with my needs as a child. I need to grow up and act as an adult. And this is what will be sort of translated in the context of a relationship. So we've seen 5 different situations. And again, I would love for you to comment in this video and let me know what happened in your childhood, if you feel okay sharing those things. And again, that would be an amazing forum for everyone who are struggling to figure out or want answers to read other people's response. Again, what I want you to understand here is that your past, your wounds, right now, they dictate how you see the world. They shape your reality. My job is for you to realize that you don't have to listen to that. That dictator dictates the way you see the world. It can change, right? What you have to do is understand that the way you see the world can be also from an adult point of view, from a secure point of view. Right? It's learning to recognize those wounds, those maladaptive responses, and replace them by, okay, I'm an adult. I'm no longer in this dysfunctional family. I'm creating my own family. I can make my own choices. I know what I want. I know what I don't want. Right? And so it's by doing those things that you will reconstruct those neural pathways. As I said before, you can change your attachment style. And so it's called neuroplasticity. Neurons that fire together, wire together. So it's about every single day reshaping those neural pathways around something that's more secure. How can you do it? Let me share with you a very, very powerful technique. So this technique I call it the secret door technique. It's something that I use with my clients. It is extremely powerful. It is very simple. The whole point is to inform yourself and focus on the 10-90 is about, yes, it's important to understand where you come from, to understand your trauma, your wounds, but that's only 10% of the work. 90% of the work right now is to rebuild those neural pathways. So the technique is very simple. Try to remember, or try to reflect whenever you're triggered. There's usually a physical sensation associated with that. So for me, for example, that would be really, I have tight chest, like I feel I can't breathe. Okay, for some people, I've had people in the past like they would want to puke, so reflect whenever you feel triggered, and you should know it. This sensation, I can guarantee you felt this when you were younger. Okay? So this is kind of the secret door, linking a trigger to an event when you were younger. You don't have to have 20 secret doors, just one is enough. Because the whole point is not about necessarily analyzing what happened in the past, and you can do this work. Usually I do this work with my clients, but it's just like half of the session. The other half, and the remaining session is about, okay, anytime you feel this way, right, you feel that sensation, which is very personal, will be different for everyone. Understand that, okay, I'm being triggered, and I'm about to respond as if I was 6 years old, 7 years old. And it's by distancing yourself from, okay, this is a signal where I need to change something, where I need to change my response, right? So ask yourself this question, what should be my response? How a secure person will respond. And of course, it's going to be very difficult. Of course, sometimes you're not going to do it and you might figuring out afterwards, but it's by building this awareness, building this skill every single day. So remember, start with the sensation, try to reflect, rationalize, shift from emotional brain to rational brain, and change the response. If you do that, after a few weeks, few months, trust me, you'll feel way more secure and in control, which is usually something that people struggle with, in control of your decision. You know, you're not that kid anymore who's been abused or who had difficulty with their parents. You choose your own response. Today, it's not about being that child anymore. It's about being that grown-up, being that adult who wants to improve, who wants to be more secure. And I'm looking forward to reading those comments. I'll take care of yourself. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.